Say all praises to the Most High Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. I'm gonna look at the demon Bill Gates here and see what he has to say about this whole coronavirus situation. But first, this might give you a bit of satisfaction.
When a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face. Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not injured. The hit squad piled on with two more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground and arrested. The others released the moment and got away. Gates went inside, wiped his face clean, and made no comment. He then went ahead with his scheduled meeting. No word on the motive for this attack.
Well, let's just go through the comments real quick here. His face says everything crazy, psychotic nerd. Bill Gates needs to be arrested and held accountable for his evil. You two trying to turn millions for God, he's a devil. And now he works very hard to murder and sterilize millions of people with vaccinations. So people know he's a demon. I think I read one of the comments where it said now that's when he decided to murder everybody on Earth. When did he decide he wants to depopulate the Earth? Oh well, let's just see Bill before all of this, because people knew then he was an evil little crap. But let's just go through this guy's character profile.
Forbes has officially decreed that Seattle's Bill Gates, with $4.2 billion, is the second richest person in the country. So of course we turned to him, hoping to learn some secrets of his meteoric success.
I used to stay at work till 11 or 12, and then go home and read for a while.
That's 11 or 12 p.m. As he showed me the main Microsoft campus, Bill confessed that he's a workaholic. He puts in hours even on weekends.
I only let them schedule meetings on Saturday generally. Steve and I are totally hardcore that this is going into Windows.
They are going to be saying this is the guy that made the
Bill says that he escapes the office about once a year. But that's where the similarities end.
I spend at least a week a year where I go off and just read people's PhD theses and new things that are going on in the field.
Bill believes a prime ingredient of his success was his early fascination with computers.
You have to understand, when you spend your time thinking intensely about a field, from a very young age, which in my case is, I was 13 or 14 when I started to get involved. That's where you can do great things, is because your mind has really gotten into it. You understand it.
Another ingredient to his fairy tale success story is Gates' belief in himself. He admits to buying stocks other than Microsoft, mostly biotech issues, but that's a very small part of his portfolio.
As a percentage of my assets, 99% of my assets are the stock I own in Microsoft.
Now, Gates does allow himself some creature comforts. He's in the midst of constructing a $10 million home, and Gates also squeezes in other haunts as well.
I've got a house in the lake. I can go water skiing. I can swim. I play tennis. Got a beach place out at Hood Canal that I can take a seaplane out to from time to time.
As for someone to share his multi-million-dollar love nest, yes, the second wealthiest person in the country is looking at his schedule and planning to squeeze in a romantic partnership.
When you take a 10-year time frame, it's fair to say I think there's a good chance, very good chance I'd be married by then. Maybe, by then I'd probably be having a kid or two, sure.
Demon, man. He even looks like a damn weak demon, man. Before we get into that, let's go into Proverbs here. Proverbs 28:11. The rich man is wise in his own conceit, but the poor man that have understanding searcheth him out. So you're not supposed to look at these people and be marveled at the fact that they're rich and so-called have an IQ of 160 plus. Because when you search them out, you realize they're doing all kinds of evil on the earth. And We're just gonna see what this guy has to say. What's going on?
Nuclear war.
Let's go back. Look here.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement, filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this.
Looks like Corona.
If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles,
Why'd you say
but
that, bro?
microbes.
No, something
Now,
you don't.
part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence. But we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a system that didn't work well enough. The problem was that we didn't have a system at all. In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely inaccurate. We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now, Médecins Sans Frontières did a great job orchestrating volunteers, but even so, we were far slower than we should have been getting the thousands of workers into these countries. And a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers. There was no one there to look at treatment approaches, no one to look at the diagnostics, no one to figure out what tools should be used. As an example, we could have taken the blood of survivors, processed it, and put that plasma back in people to protect them. There's a group of handsome epidemiologists ready to go. They move in, they save the day, but that's just
2015.
Pure Hollywood.
Keep that in mind.
The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola. Let's look at the progression of Ebola over this year.
We're just going to jump
of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918. So here's what would happen. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly. And you can see there's over 30 million people die from that epidemic. So this is a serious problem. We should be concerned.
How are you going to deal with it, Bill?
But in fact, we can build a really good response system.
And what's that?
We have the benefits of all the science and technology that we talk about here. We've got cell phones to get information from the public and get information out to them. We have satellite maps where we can see where people are and where they're moving. We have advances in biology that should dramatically change the turnaround time to look at a pathogen and be able to make drugs and vaccines that fit for that pathogen. So we can have tools, but those tools need to be put into an overall global health system, and we need preparedness. The best lessons, I think, on how to get prepared are, again, what we do for war. For soldiers, we have full-time, waiting to go. We have reserves that can scale us up to large numbers. NATO has a mobile unit that can deploy very rapidly. NATO does a lot of war games to check, are people well-trained? Do they understand about fuel and logistics and the same radio frequency? So they are absolutely ready to go. So those are the kinds of things we need to deal with an epidemic. What are the key pieces? First is we need strong health systems in poor countries. That's where mothers can give birth safely, kids can get all their vaccines.